From Eyewitness News, this is Indiana Insiders.
Good morning and welcome to Indiana Insiders. It is almost here. The Indiana primary is May 3rd. Let's show you the schedule to give you an idea of where we fall in all this presidential landscape. The New York primary is Tuesday, April 19th. 5 states follow that up on April 26th, including Pennsylvania and Maryland. That clears the table for Indiana as the lone primary set for Tuesday, May 3rd. Now, to help me sort out the role of Indiana's presidential sweepstakes this morning, I'm joined by Republican Jennifer Hollowell, Democrat Robin Winston, University of Indianapolis political science professor Dr. Laura Albright. So who would think it? Indiana is on the verge of being important in all this debate. Delegates are portioned out by congressional districts in Indiana. If a candidate wins a congressional district, he or she gets those delegates. But for how long? Jennifer, that's an interesting debate we see with Politico magazine coming out and saying, well, some people may only hang for one ballot. What do we make of all this?
Well, I don't think that Indiana is that much different from other states in that regard. You know, most places delegates are bound for that first ballot either by their district or by their state, and then on the second ballot it's anybody's ball game, and that's why it's so important in the process to have, you know, delegate recruitment and people who support you, and to be playing for maybe a second chance. This doesn't normally happen, but it's pretty exciting for the delegates who are planning to go to the convention. And
for Indiana Republicans, they threw out the magic word, Mitch Daniels, the magic name. Here we go.
We will always try for Mitch Daniels to be president. You know, if there's any chance that that could happen, I'm sure that Indiana's delegates would be elated.
Woodrow Wilson would be about the last president, right, out of a university, Princeton?
Yeah. But, you know, this is exciting for us, for Republicans. We haven't had a role in the presidential process in a really long time. Yeah. And so we do at least get to be part of the process and have a vote and have it make a difference.
Robin, it's a win-win because it's important for Democrats, too, the way this is shaped up.
Sure. In 2008, we had a very competitive primary. Barack Obama was here 49 times. Hillary Clinton was here 47 times. And they duked it out. Mrs. Clinton won the primary. And in the fall, the president won Indiana for the first time for our party in 44 years.
Economic development for Indiana?
Economic development for Indiana, and a lot of people upstairs on your second floor will love the sales ads.
Dr. Laura, I have to think, I heard Governor Pence say this week that he is considering endorsing someone. Yes. So in this case, is that good or bad?
Well, for the candidate that gets the endorsement, I would say it's very good. And we saw that with Nikki Haley in South Carolina, ultimately when she endorsed Marco Rubio, who's since dropped. We saw it with Scott Walker in Wisconsin. The endorsement could be very helpful, and I think some candidates may be looking out for that.
But it's the outsider thing these days. It doesn't seem to matter as much anymore, does it?
Well, endorsements have an impact, certainly, with the following, with news hits. And can be very helpful, but especially what we're seeing this year, people are making up their own minds, and there is kind of an anti-establishment sentiment.
Speaking of which, the Trump campaign's ramping up, I should say. Rex Early and Tony Samuel say Trump will have an office opening up in central Indiana within the week. Early, a longtime political operative in this state, also made this prediction.
I think he's going to take Indiana, and I think he's actually going to be the president.
Early also explained that he did donate $500 to the Kasich campaign until he heard that he supported Common Core. Then he said he switched to Trump, and in typical Rex fashion, I have to share this. He wondered aloud why Kasich is even still in the race.
He's only got 100 and some delegates, and you know, as my grandpa used to say, if you ain't got no socks, you can't pull them up. And you know, he don't have many socks to trade with.
Oh, I love that. If you ain't got no socks, you ain't got no play here. The bottom line is, with proximity, I'm curious. Robin, I'm going to start with you. I know it's Republicans, but how big is proximity? Ohio, so close to Indiana. Will that play here?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it did for Obama.
Sure, obviously. Because I would imagine he can get people to come over from Ohio to campaign for him on the eastern part of our state. I mean, you know, he's probably been on television on the eastern part of our state by virtue of being governor and known there. So, yeah, they'll recruit, just as they'll recruit from other states. There'll be a lot of people coming in here, Kevin.
Jen, same question. How was that play here?
I think that, well, first of all, how exciting to have Rex Early back in the news. I mean, it is going to make it, it's going to make it a lot of fun. But, you know, I think Indiana is like a jump ball in this race. You know, Trump in one of the early polls was in the lead. You know, Cruz is picking up steam with some of the establishment coming behind him, but I do think that Kasich being next door and being more of a, you know, Mitch Daniels kind of style, will have an impact too. So I really think that while the rest of the country has already been through a lot of races and we just have a month to go, I think anything could happen.
Dr. Laura.
I agree. I think it really is anyone's game. And even though numerically Kasich can't win, even if he got every single delegate, he wouldn't have the 1237 to win outright. He could win enough, and maybe with the contested convention, something else could happen.
Yeah, we did see a valuable member of the Cruz campaign make a stop in Indiana last week. The candidate's father, Rafael Cruz, came to talk to a large contingent at the Cornerstone Christian Church in Brownsburg.
I must have told my son a dozen times, you know, when I left and I lost my freedom in Cuba, I had a place to come to. If we lose our freedoms here, where are we going to go? There is no place to go. I tell you, America is worth saving.
I don't see.
Yeah, Jennifer, I want to turn to you here because I heard a slogan this over the last week that I'd never heard before. Lose with Cruz. And the reason some Republicans are saying that because they fear what could happen down the ballot in both the United States Senate and in Congress. Have you heard that, and what do you make of it?
Well, actually, what I have heard for folks who are supporting Cruz really is more about kind of a battle between the hardcore conservatives and more moderate Republicans. And Cruz really does represent the most conservative wing of our party. And for folks who feel like McCain and Romney, were not conservative enough, and that's why they lost. If you have Cruz as your nominee, then that kind of settles that dispute. But as far as up and down the ticket in Indiana, Indiana is a Republican state, and Hillary Clinton is not popular here at all. I think that the Democrat primary will be interesting, but I also think that there probably isn't as big of an impact in Indiana down the ballot, regardless of who our nominee is.
You don't even need me to call your name, do you?
No, that's an LEU. That's an LEU. I'm ready for that one. The fact is Mrs. Clinton will do well in this state. She'll bring practicality to this. She'll bring common sense to this. And when you go, I've been a chair of a delegation. I took one to L.A. in 2000. If you go there fighting the whole week, it's not fun, and you can't come back home and patch those up. So I don't know what's going to happen on their side. I'm not focused on that. What I'm focused on is the fact that both she and Bernie are bringing new people to vote. They're talking about issues that matter, and Indiana will be in play in the fall for our state.
Now, there is activity also on the Democrat side. We want to talk a little bit about that. The Hillary Clinton camp put down roots in the state of Indiana. Peter Hanscom has the reins for the Clinton camp, and he opened up an office here just last week. The Sanders campaign already has an office in Broad Ripple and opening up other locations all around the state. Sanders seems to have momentum on his side, but the numbers are not on his side. Robin talked a little bit about that. There is perception out there, Robin. I'm going to go to this, that the election is being stolen from Bernie Sanders because of superdelegates. Explain all this superdelegate thing and why the Sanders people would feel that way.
Well, first off, I think the Republican Party will begin to look at superdelegates.
They got to address that too, yeah. Right.
And they'll look at superdelegates after this thing that's going on. The superdelegates, it's a misnomer. It's an outgrowth of the 72 reforms of our party to ensure that party leaders and people that were elected statewide and by congressional districts can play a role in our party's nomination process. So it's resulted in people like Evan Bayh, people like Andre Carson, and other people being able to go to the convention in the past. So you've got that as superdelegates going to represent our party. These are people that have been elected, their party leadership. Mrs. Clinton has a tremendous lead in those delegates. Senator Sanders has done very well with delegates that are elected by caucus and elected through primaries. But the reality is that both of our candidates are running to win. We don't have people going to Philadelphia determined to stop either one of those folks in their tracks.
Jen, we're down to just seconds in this segment, but there's also a feeling in the Republican side that the election's being stolen from Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, it really, we're going to have to see what happens at the convention. He may hit that number of 1237, and this is all a moot point.
Right. Good point.
So I think it's too early to say really what is going to happen. But there will be a lot of discontent if someone who has not gone through this process, not one of the three.
Not to pro Karnak from Johnny Carson here, but I'm sensing third party coming out of somewhere here. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to delve into the race for governor and the latest controversy confronting Hoosiers in that race. Stay with us.